Magnesium, hot topic, really important element. Should you take it? What we're going to talk about today is what it is, who needs it, and how to get it.
Welcome to Talking with Docs. I'm Dr. Paul Zalzal.
I'm Dr. Brad Weening.
So magnesium, number 12 on the periodic table of elements. It's a earthy alkaline metal, shiny gray substance. I'm not going to lie, it's got a pretty low boiling point at about 650 degrees Celsius. Highly reactive. Fourth most common element after iron, oxygen, and silicone. What?
It's too much. It's too much. No one wants to know that much about magnesium. They just want to know, should you eat it, and where do you get it?
People want to know that.
They don't want to know that.
It's added to aluminum alloy, make it very strong.
They don't care.
Okay, magnesium PI. Why don't you take it away?
Okay, so magnesium, like Paul said, is an important element. It actually is a cofactor in up to 300 enzymes. It's important in almost all of our bodily functions. And deficiency is talked about a lot on social media and probably not very much with your doctor.
And you might have seen magnesium in preparations such as laxatives or sleep aids, which I find kind of odd because you could end up in the scenario where you're like, honey, good news is I slept great. Bad news is we got to change the sheets.
You slept like a log.
I wasn't just sawing logs.
Yeah. Okay, so magnesium. It's found in foods, found in supplements, found in antacids as well as laxatives. Thankfully, magnesium deficiency is quite uncommon. Our body has about 25 grams total of magnesium. So that's less than 1 ounce in our entire body. 50 to 60% of it lives in our bones. The other 40% is mostly inside of our cells and in our soft tissues. And actually less than 1% is in our blood.
And the issue with that is that we have such a big store in our bones and it's in our cells and not a ton of it is circulating around, and the plasma makes it hard to detect and diagnose if you've got low magnesium or too high magnesium.
Right, so some people talk about a blood test. An average number on a blood test would be 0.75 millimoles per liter. Now this is a really low number, but it actually doesn't represent how much lives inside of your body. It's kind of like if you lined up 10 people and looked in their wallet. Say they all had $100 in their wallet. It doesn't really predict how much money they have in their bank account.
I never have $100 in my wallet.
Cash is not king anymore, I don't think anymore.
It's all credit, e-transfer.
Right.
When was the last time you wrote a check?
I write checks for our rent at the office.
You're old.
I'm a boomer. Okay, so the blood test is not super useful. So there's other ways that you can test it. You can test the amount of magnesium in your red blood cells. There actually is a urine test that can measure the amount of magnesium. And that's actually one of the best tests because our magnesium levels are really tightly controlled by our kidneys. Magnesium is routinely excreted out by our kidneys, and then depending on your level, all of it's taken back up or some of it's lost. But this is not a practical way to do it.
Okay, magnesium PI, and you're making fun of me for geeking out on magnesium.
I know. Okay, so first of all, magnesium deficiency, like we said, really uncommon. What are the kinds of symptoms that you get from magnesium deficiency?
These symptoms are vague. Okay, they're very similar to the symptoms my children exhibit when I say it's time to get up and go to school. Fatigue, nausea, tiredness, vomiting.
Yeah, so that's from a minor or a low-level magnesium deficiency. And as it gets worse, they become more serious. So numbness and tingling, muscle contractions and aching. You can even have personality changes.
What?
Yeah. So, and a lot of people think, even heart arrhythmias, they think that this is more related to the hypokalemia or the low potassium, as well as the elevated calcium or hypercalcemia that often goes along with hypomagnesemia.
Yeah, so you're getting into some electrolyte imbalances and you get the symptoms of that, and then you're getting to some neurologic symptoms later on.
Okay.
Their personality change.
Yes. So where do you get magnesium from? Let's start with food.
Well, magnesium is abundant in certain types of foods, and I guess the plant lovers are going to love this because there's a lot of plant-based products that can provide magnesium, and the biggest bang for the bucks, I think, is pumpkin seeds.
Pumpkin seeds, number one. So 1 ounce of pumpkin seeds actually has like 150 milligrams of magnesium, which is like more than half of your daily requirement.
And we know you're not all getting together on Friday night to share some pumpkin seeds with the guys while you watch the football game. No, is there a football game on Friday?
It depends. Probably baseball now,
Baseball.
Yeah.
Or a hockey playoff game.
Oh my, please, no. Don't get me talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs right now.
Pumpkin seeds is one.
Pumpkin seeds, chia seeds, beans, there's almonds, cashews, even peanuts.
And tuna.
Yes, tuna, chicken, a lot of meat sources. They have much lower amounts of magnesium, but definitely. The trouble is a lot of people feel or have shown that the magnesium is not always bioavailable. It's not absorbed at the same rate. So sometimes food supplements are not enough.
Okay, so then can we ease into who's sort of at risk for being hypomagnesemic?
Absolutely. Let's break it down.
Okay, so it's either going to be not absorbed properly in your gut, or you're going to be getting rid of your stores too quick. So not absorbed in the gut, or peeing it out too quick in your kidney. So then you can kind of think of it like that when you think about who's at risk for getting it. So someone who has excessive alcohol use and poor nutrition.
Yes, for sure.
Would be one.
With on the GI side of things, people with Crohn's, irritable bowel, even people taking PPIs or proton pump inhibitors for acid reflux, lowering the gastric acid concentration actually limits the amount of magnesium that can be absorbed.
Right, people with diabetes, because their sugars are high, they're urinating a lot and just leaking out a lot of their magnesium.
Kind of pulls the magnesium with it. And older adults, because of the reasons we talked about, they actually absorb it less, and their kidney function is usually not as good, so they're not absorbing as much.
Are we older adults, do you think?
Not yet. Maybe you are.
Okay, so those are the kind of people that are at risk for low
Right.
magnesium.
Okay, longer term, magnesium plays an important role. They believe in 6 different things, and there's certainly some good studies that show correlations, but not direct relations between the amount of magnesium and these health outcomes. But I think they're worth mentioning because there is significant literature to support it.
But not really a good randomized controlled trial, the gold standard, but just some supporting literature that suggests, hey, there may be an association here.
Like the majority of actually supplements and food studies, there are not a lot of good RCTs because there's not a lot of money in magnesium supplementation. So number 1 is it has a direct effect on your blood pressure. Studies have shown that if you take a magnesium supplement, it can lower your blood pressure 3 or 4 millimeters of mercury.
Bones, baby, osteoporosis.
Definitely increased risk of osteoporosis for those that have low magnesium. Number 3 is relation to cardiovascular disease and ischemic heart disease. So it has a heart protective effect, possibly related to the rhythm and possibly related to the calemic issues.
Moods,
Yes.
mood disorders can affect your mood. We've already talked about some of the neurologic issues with magnesium, and it can affect your mood.
Higher chance of having anxiety and depression for sure. Sleep. So there's a recent meta-analysis in 2021 that looked at all the studies, and certainly there have been some studies showed that taking magnesium supplements improved your sleep and relaxation, and others that didn't. So the take home from the meta-analysis was that it didn't have a hard recommendation to take it, but that there was a possibility that was related.
Yeah, if you're using it for sleep and you're finding it works, then that's good. That could be entirely a real thing. Just we haven't been able to prove it yet in the scientific literature.
And the last one was diabetes. There's some evidence to show that people with low magnesium or more normalized magnesium have better control of their blood sugars.
Okay, there's the skinny on magnesium and
Yes.
some of its long-term health effects.
Yes.
Now, we've got to talk about supplements.
We do, actually. So in people that are not getting it through an adequate diet, and even others, some people feel that even if you are getting it, this is worth considering if you have some of the symptoms that we talked about. So in a supplement, there are a bunch of different kinds of magnesium. So it's the second word that's going to make the difference. So citrate and aspartate seem to be ones that are better absorbed.
Zinc, careful, you can't take zinc when you're taking magnesium because it inhibits the absorption. Now remember, zinc's a metal, magnesium's a metal. If you take an iron pill, you're probably going to assemble a bike frame in your stomach.
And that's not a good thing. So yes, careful when you're taking it with zinc and the amount. So the average person, adult, male or female, is between 300 and 450. And some people also discuss what is
350 or 450
milligrams.
Oh, I thought you were going to say grams.
Grams, that'd be too much. That's like
Pound of metal.
that's like a pound of metal. That would be too much.
Why are you eating the toaster?
But it's hard to know how much to take. So some people would say slowly, incrementally increase your dose. And then once you actually start to get diarrhea, that's when you know you've reached the point.
Dial it back.
Right, dial it, which seems like a little bit of a weird way to do it, but because we don't have a reliable test, essentially the side effects of having too much magnesium, because it's not dangerous at that level, is some of the best ways to do it.
Change the sheets.
Change the sheets. Okay,
Magnesium.
A to Z of magnesium, and it's a really important element. It's relatively cheap to purchase. It's easy to take. The side effects are low. Side note, if you were taking mega doses, like up to 5,000 milligrams that some antacids and laxatives have, then you could be at risk. And there have been anecdotal reports of, unfortunately, even fatal events related to this. So obviously common sense when it comes to that kind of stuff. But in general, it's very, very
In
safe.
general, don't take a mega dose of anything.
No, agreed. Everything in moderation.
Well, there it is.
Except us.
Yeah, mega dose on Talking with Doc. There it is, magnesium, the element. Elementary, my dear
Number 12.
Watson.
Number 12. And if you like this video, please like it, subscribe to our channel, please leave some comments about whether you have some of these symptoms, whether you've taken magnesium, and what's working for you.
Stop, drop, and comment. And remember, you are in charge of your own health.
We'll see you next time.